tropes in that film as the other ones, or was it a bit lighter in that one? You think
it was a bit lighter, more Western? Yeah, the Hong Kong ones are just they're so good. They're almost carbon copies of each other in terms of the things that you will expect from them. Like they give you everything you want from a Hong Kong action film. Guaranteed satisfaction, basically.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, cool. My third and final action film. It pains me because there are so many. Like I know. A little bit of a shout out to like The Bourne Identity. I know that's not an 80s one, but it's sort of spearheaded these sort of modern, like super gritty, dark, almost Scandi style action films. So that's a good one. But yeah, my third and final one. This isn't 80s either, actually. It's earlier. I'm going to go for Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Loads of style. Great soundtrack. It had this fantastic, like, funky, like, dusty drum thing that's going on over the top of it. Like, the opening scene's like just drums, just vibing, basically, over the top of these crimes that are going on. And it's just super cool. The sound's great. The cinematography's great. You've obviously got some famous lines like, do you feel lucky or do you, punk? That sort of thing. Oh, it's just so good. A fantastic villain, loads of tension, a massive revolver, a massive gun, good weapons. Clint Eastwood's got a great car. He's a maverick cop. Just some fantastic stuff in it. I mean, it's hard to nail it down, but I think I'd have to go for Dirty Harry as the best action film.
Yeah, man. Cool. Fantastic shout. I mean, you can't get more iconic than Dirty Harry, I don't think, really. Some of the lines in that are just so permeated within our, like, culture. Everyone just knows so much from those films.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, good. I mean, I feel like I'm almost embarrassed to talk about this this next film. Because I've got better... there are some strictly better films.
Right.
There 100% are. But I've got to be true to myself.
Oh, don't let me down.
We're gonna. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to say this film, and then we'll say what the number one best action film ever is.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is going to be not as good as the one that we're both going to say, but it is a film I've probably watched more than anything. Not more than anything, but I've watched it a lot. Probably out of the films I've said, actually, The Fifth Element, funnily enough, is the one I've watched the most. Again, probably not the most critically acclaimed film in the world. But anyway, this next one's going to be... it's going to be Doom.
Doom?
Have you ever seen Doom?
No. What is that? Thank God we've got the greatest one to follow it up. Gee whiz, what the hell is Doom?
Now, by the way, I love Terminator 2. There's so many films that we can't say, but this is one I've seen lots as a child growing up, and it's a special place in my heart. Okay, cool. Now, Doom. Doom was a good film. It helped a little-known actor called The Rock break into the scene back in the day.
Cool, okay.
Dwayne. When did it come out? Big Dwayne, you got it. Exactly. This is back when he was still a wrestler, I think. Let me find out the extra date. But this film is based on a game that my dad used to play, and I used to play because of it. Okay, cool. So this is 2005 it came out. So This is 17 years ago, so sort of early Dwayne. And it's also got Urban, not the country singer.
Not Keith.
Not Keith, but the actor from Australia, who's the main guy in it. Carl. So confusing, Carl and Keith, but Carl Urban, who's he's
Éomer
in Lord of the Rings.
Apparently he's a Kiwi. Apparently he's from New Zealand.
Oh, Kiwi, sorry, yeah. Oh, and he's in the Bad Boys. Sugar. No, not Bad Boys. What's this TV show about superheroes? I don't know. Have you got him up there?
Yeah, I've got him up. He's in Xena, Warrior Princess. He's in Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, Riddick, Dredd, Thor. Oh, The Boys. Amazon's web television series. The Boys, yeah.
The Boys, that's good. Dredd is also really good. I don't know. You must like the original Judge Dredd, right? Stallone?
I've not seen it.
Dude, that's a Stallone classic.
Yeah, but it's sci-fi though, isn't it?
Mate, Demolition Man, have you seen that one? Wesley Snipes and Stallone.
No.
Another sci-fi. Dude, what is happening?
Mate, I don't like it.
See, my geekiness is now coming through. Okay, so we've both got some homework to do after this. But
yeah, sure.
So Doom is, and I think this happens with a lot of the best action films. It's a bad film.
Right.
On the face of it, it's bad. But it hits all the marks.
Yeah. You've
got a rogue army guy. You've got, for me, aliens. I like it. Massive guns. Like there's a gun called the BFG, and it stands for big gun. And the rocks walking around with this thing, and it's just blowing everything up, and you can't get anything wrong.
Nice.
And you've got a showdown between past friends at the end. Truly, you can't get better than that. And it goes. You know how like shooting games sort of they've got first person, so you're controlling the person, right? The film does that. To like homage to the game it's based on.
Ah, sweet.
And it's got this amazing just set piece where this guy is running around shooting people in first person, and it's a terrible film, but I love it all the same, and I think you would enjoy it if you can get past the sci-fi aspect of it.
Okay, cool, amazing. I'll pop it on the list, mate. If it's on your top 3 action films of all time, it's going on the list for sure.
Good. All right, cool.
Nice, mate. How about the greatest action film of all time?
So we're gonna have to count down and just say it.
Okay, cool.
I think we need just to say it out loud. Okay, you ready?
Nice. Right, how are you counting? 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Film.
Okay, cool.
Ready?
Go for it.
3, 2, 1.
Die
Hard 1.
Yeah. 100%, right, man. There was no doubt in my mind. Die Hard is the greatest action film of all time. It's the greatest 100%. Christmas film of all time. Perhaps just the greatest film of all time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Bruce takes it. I've got 2 Bruces out there tonight, and he is the perfect action hero, in my opinion, or actor for it. He's funny enough for it. He's good looking enough.
Yeah.
But he's lost his hair, but that's fine. Oh well.
He's also manly. He's a real man. He's a real world man. He's not silly.
Exactly.
He's not silly massive like Arnold.
Yes.
He's just a real life Joe.
He never had a 6-pack.
Yeah, exactly.
He has hair on his chest.
Yeah.
And he's not he's not a superhero like you say. He's not like nailing everyone in the head with his shooting and stuff. He's he misses quite a lot. Actually, if you look at the films, he's just a normal guy. He just gets through it.
Tough
and
cookie.
He makes mistakes and stuff. Yeah, love it. I'm so glad we said that, because I did think that was just going to be a gimme, wasn't it? For one of us had to say it.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
And it made its own genre of films in itself. The Die Hard genre of film. It's so many people have tried recreating it and never succeeded.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, man, I reckon we put the gavel down on Die Hard. So. What a film!
So, mate, okay. I've been listening to a Joe Rogan podcast.
Okay, cool.
So I am fully informed on a subject that I've never heard of before, and will now tell you the correct answers to everything.
Nice.
So which I feel like is how people tend to react after they've listened to Joe Rogan. But
yeah.
So this guy was basically, let me go back a step here, Arnie's latest documentary about his vegan diet.
Okay, cool. I've not seen it, but I've heard about it, and I've heard that he's advocating a vegan diet now, right? Now that he's consumed all the meat in the world, he's finished with it, and he's telling us not to do it.
Yeah, and he says that he could have done what he did with his bodybuilding on a vegan diet.
Wow, big claim.
So arguably I don't know whether it's even arguable, but like one of the best bodybuilders ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's the greatest.
Yeah. Saying that he could have done what he did on a vegan diet. Anyway, loads of sports people doing it. This guy's giving the counter argument, and he came up with a couple of interesting points that I'd never heard of. And I think along the way, there's other things we'll talk about, but I think he's given us a moral argument for eating meat over vegetarian or vegan even. Okay,
because that's usually the one thing we lack.
Exactly. The moral argument is our stumbling block.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever argue someone if they morally want to eat vegetables. I would never. I have so much respect. My missus is one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, we only really ever argue for our own sakes, don't we? We're usually of the opinion, do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't affect me, as long as you're not telling me what to do, you can eat whatever you want.
Exactly. So what this documentary was saying, though, was that not only is the vegan diet as good as meat, it makes you better as a sports person, makes you healthier, does all these other things for you.
Right, okay.
So it's making bold claims. But we'll come back to that in a second. So the moral argument is that this guy basically did the maths, and they've done studies, and they've looked at basically the death toll of farming. And it turns out that just farming vegetables in America, I think the number was 7.4 billion animals die. And this doesn't include insects, by the way. We're not counting those, obviously. We're counting non-mammals, basically. So what it means is fish, birds, lizards, Christ, I can't think of anything that's not a mammal. That basically anything that eats the bugs that we use pesticides on, anything that lives in water that the pesticides go into.
No way.
They die. 7.4 billion animals die, and I think that's yearly. And we don't kill anywhere near 7.4 billion animals to eat, because obviously, one cow, you get however many steaks and whatever from it.
Yeah.
So if you're just looking at lives, and if you count one cow's life as good as a bird or as good as a fish or something like that,
all lives are equal in this calculation. Yeah,
exactly. Then you would say that actually a vegan lifestyle or vegetarian lifestyle is actually feeding into a process that's killing more animals on whole.
Wow, crazy.
So, and I'm not using that information to try and guilt trip vegans or vegetarians, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about when you do talk about the morality of your diet. It kind of I don't know, for me it does anyway, it kind of makes that point moot now, or moot rather.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Because it's like, well, who's to say a cow's life is worth more than a fish or a bird?
Yeah, man. Wow,
so I don't know.
That's super interesting. Yeah. So is that entirely because of the pesticides then? Is that?
I don't think it was more like, it's also mice. Sorry, I forgot about mice, because obviously any field mice in the way of like a combine harvester and that kind of stuff.
Right, okay.
So mainly, I think pesticides is the main culprit because it kills insects. But once the insects die, or when they're dying, they don't stop becoming poisonous. So anything that eats them or eats enough of them will die itself.
Got you.
Also, pesticides will leach into the water. So this, I just thought it was an interesting point. Just to throw out there. That isn't the main one, but it kind of lends to the fact that, so there's another thing as well. So for example, they say that, that's just the moral argument. The next thing is, Christ, I'm going to have to edit this to make me sound coherent.
I'll stay then.
So the next point I want to talk about is that they're arguing equivalencies between food. So for example, they're saying like a steak gives you the same amount of protein as a peanut butter sandwich with some lentils or something. And
who's eating that though? Christ.
Exactly
Friday
right.
night. What are we having for tea? Peanut butter sandwich with some lentils. Side of chickpeas, please.
Exactly. God, that's a sad existence. But that's rubbish as well, because the animal has done all the hard work for us. They've digested the plant-based proteins, and they've made it into this protein that we can eat and absorb straight away. Yeah. So basically, anyway, I don't want to get into the science of it. I'm not the scientist. You guys should listen to this podcast. It's about a year old. I just don't know how I found it, but it came up randomly. And this guy's obviously an expert in nutrition, by the way. He's not just a random guy. Anyway, so he was explaining all this stuff, and he was going through piece by piece with evidence, and he has like a whole bibliography that you could go look up online of how they are lying effectively, or they're being misled themselves. Right. So he didn't outright call Arnie out or whoever the sporting people were on there, but he was basically saying that they're just talking out their arse, basically, and that vegan lifestyle can be good for some people, but it's not as good as eating meat. And also, here's the moral argument for why eating meat isn't as bad as you think. The other main thing I want to talk about now is that the environmental impact. That's the new big one, isn't it? That people are going vegetarian, vegan. He also said that there were farms now out there, beef farms, that are now CO2 deficient. So they actually bring CO2 out of the atmosphere.
What?
With carbon capture, and they basically